And it sounds like you have done a lot of the behind the scenes producing, writing, recording stuff, especially with Prince's sister. We talked a little bit about this in our first interview here. Tell me a little bit more about the song Colors that you worked on together.
Okay, so Sharon Nelson, which is Prince's oldest sister, had been following my tribute work, and I didn't even know about it. People had told me that she was on social media giving props to myself and my band in Purple Experience.
Well, that's a nice thing to find out.
Yeah, and I hadn't met her up until a couple of years ago, even though I grew up with her nephew and his cousin. But like I said, she'd been following us. And so she showed up at one of our shows in Minneapolis, downtown Minneapolis.
Cool.
That was the first time I met her. And we had a moment, and we exchanged information, and we spoke on the phone, and she invited me to her house. And I came over, and she had a baby grand piano in the living room. And she told me about, she mentioned, and she framed it in the term source. She said, that's where Prince received his melodies, source. And she said it came from her father, who also received these melodies. And a lot of times it was in their sleep, and they would wake up, and this melody was just playing, endlessly in their head. And then they would go over to the piano and interpret what they were given in their dream.
Wow.
She told me she didn't have that until Prince passed away. And she said, and now she's getting these melodies in her sleep. And she said she doesn't, she needs a vessel to take the melody and produce it and create song from it. And she said, I'm it. She said, oh, okay, well, I'm honored. And I said, okay, well, what do we got? And she just went over to the piano and she just plucked out a melody. And then she asked me to play it back. And I did. And then she said, okay, that's it. She said, go.
You made her dreams come true.
Well, she didn't want me to question the process. She said, just don't question it. Just go.
Right.
And so
And that really is what kind of the art making process is. It's, of course, a little bit of thought and a lot of talent, but then it is just kind of trusting the universe and seeing what happens.
I think there's a lot of that. Yeah, I think they call that muse.
Yes.
There's the muse gods that are for inspiration.
Exactly. So that's the melody. Now, the lyrics, the concept. What were you guys, what was the inspiration there?
She had written out some lyrics that she felt were aligned with this melody. And honestly, the one word that popped out was colors.
Of course.
Just the word colors. And that was it. And she gave me full license as far as lyrics, as far as, production and chords and whatever else. The only thing that she was adamant about was that melody on the chorus was not to be messed with. Because it wasn't hers, it was from source, and just don't mess with this melody, which was an odd time. When you hear the song, you'll see it doesn't really translate into a typical 4/4 measure. It carries over, and so it's called push time. So you're just there's this little bit of tension release happening in the song, where it's because that melody carries over, and I would not have written that way. That's one of those things where so then I had to adapt all the grid and everything and all the production to this melody. So that's why it was a unique collaboration in that respect. That would not have come out of my brain. that melody.
But that's how you grow. That's how you evolve.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. It's a beautiful song. You can definitely you can sense the collaboration between you and Sharon. Kind of some slight Prince-esque elements, but then it's also its very own thing, its very own piece of art. So what a very cool experience for you to be a part of.
I should mention the producer of that song was co-produced by John Fields. And John Fields is one of my best friends, and actually he was brought in when I produced the Commodores. I brought in John. And John is one of the most celebrated producers in history. If you look up John Fields, you'll see who he's produced.
Awesome.
Virtually everybody.
Yeah.
From Jonas Brothers, Soul Asylum.
So not a bad guy to have in your pocket.
No, so he produced. So that's where we recorded Colors, at his studio, and so.
Cool. Here's a listen of Sharon Nelson's song with Marshall Charloff. It's called Colors.
I hear colors and I see sounds whenever you're around. It's so beautiful. Inverted senses are around, darkness ain't around. It's wonderful. All the keys are black and white when I met you, and then you touched them and the colors came through. And now if I could be so bold to command me uphold, I hear colors and I see sounds whenever you're around. It's so beautiful. Inverted senses are around, darkness ain't around, and it's wonderful. Turn off the spotlight, I'd have burned out that fuse. The only applause I need is to know I'm pleasing you. And baby, you're the one we should take a bow. You're my star and this I vow. I hear colors and I see sounds whenever you're around. It's beautiful. Inverted senses are around, darkness ain't around. It's wonderful. If you were a color, I'd paint you with my brush. Except I would not wait till you would dry before I would touch. Lost the finish for the final coat to command me uphold. I hear colors and I see sounds whenever you're around. It's beautiful. Inverted senses are around, and darkness ain't around. It's wonderful. I hear colors and I see